Your customer service staff think that your software is laden with bugs. Your sales team thinks that there's not enough features being developed fast enough. But the developer down here doesn't seem to think there's a problem at all. Is that a communication issue? Probably not. It's probably just availability bias. So availability bias is impacting all of these people. It's what they get presented with over and over and over. And the customer service people are only hearing from the customers that are complaining about the bugs. And of course, the salespeople are trying to convince somebody to adopt the software. They're going to hear about the things that the person wishes it had in there. So availability bias can skew us when making our decisions. And the worst part is we often don't notice it's there. We don't think, oh, what's the most recent example of this? Oh, those are only a few recent examples. We often just, it's in the back of our heads thinking, oh, well, I keep hearing about the software doesn't do X, Y, Z. Well, yeah, but perhaps you hear about it from a few people. Is that actually what all of the customers think? Or even worse, is it actually even something that's worthwhile developing in the first place? Or is there more research that needs to be done into what the customers in general think, considering the roadmap of the product, considering the data that you have available to you? So when we make choices with our availability bias, we're making them from a reactive, top of mind state. And we can get a bit emotionally attached to these because it's the old squeaky wheel gets the oil. They're in there grating in your mind. So when you have a chance to try and push somebody to do something, you promote these ideas to be done. But really, the best approach is to try and understand more data about what's happening and talk to more people about it. Now, you don't want to run around the business for every single decision you're making, but try and get people with the opposite perspective or a more diversified perspective. So if you're always dealing with a certain type of customer, or you're always dealing with customers, or you're always in development not dealing with customers, grabbing somebody with that totally different perspective from a different part of the business can really give you enough information to make a far more informed decision. Now, it's even better. I mean, software companies have a lot of access to data. It's even better to make these decisions off data. I think it's the founder of Tinder that said data over opinions every time, something like that. And that's exactly why. People feel these things and think things are one way, but we've got all these biases going on. And of course, you've got the lies, damn lies, and statistics to data as well. So you can skew that how you like. But realistically, you're going to get more information and be able to make more informed decisions if you get the data. But outside of that, getting people with alternate perspectives and also considering yourself, is this just the most recent few things I've heard about the software, or is this actually something that I've heard many times? It might be the most prevalent thing you've heard for 2 years, is we really need this thing. God, just give us this thing. So you go, all right, okay, that's probably a legitimate thing to develop. Or is it something that is just in there at the moment? I mean, you might have a surge right now in features that are going to support remote working in some aspect, for example. Now, that might make sense to capitalize on the market right now. It might also not make sense. If it's something that's actually pretty minor and once things return to usual, it's actually going to have a fairly small impact and you're trying to focus on a different strategic area for development right now, you wouldn't want to make that decision. So again, the problem with availability bias is that we don't consider it, is that it doesn't even catch us off guard. It's just a blind spot. We don't see that we're doing it. So you want to try and consider when you're making decisions about the product or even about the team, thinking, wow, this is our best SQL developer because the last thing they did really well. That can especially be a problem for senior managers who don't get a lot of exposure to someone. They get a little bit of exposure and they do this one thing really well, so they assume that that's the best person for that, when actually people who are closer to the team more often will have a better picture on that. So that's what it is. You need to identify these things when you're making decisions. Think, do I feel compelled to make things this way because I've just heard about it a lot recently? And if you feel like you are being biased or you don't have the full picture, try and find people who have the totally opposite perspective to you. They see a totally different side of the system or the product or the team. and get their input to have a counterpoint so that you can actually have a reasonable, thought out decision made on the matter rather than being impacted by your or even your team's availability bias to the most recent information and the most available information. So make more information available and you'll make better decisions. If you like today's video, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on more of these. Don't forget to share it around so that other people can get some of this value out of it too. And of course, say hi in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Cheers.